Joanna, and this is Julian, my husband. We've been married for 35 years. We have 2 children and 2 grandchildren.
So we're grandparents.
That's right. We've been in the voluntary sector for the past 25 years. They've been very busy years. It kept us going for all these years, but we never looked back because the satisfaction you feel when you give, you receive a lot of peace in the heart. Our idea is that we help people live a happy life. And the people who attend our workshops reflect on their own selves, on the relationship with themselves, the relationships with their friends, with their colleagues, with the family, and this will help them to live a good life.
In fact, when we started, we said if we could just help one person, it would be worth it. And together with a team of volunteers who we wish to thank, we have worked together to develop a whole tool set of resources.
That's right.
In fact, if you look at Erickson's psychosocial development stages, which talks about the stages which are practically our life, starting from an infant, early years, talking about adolescence, and then becoming an adult, and then elderly. What we have done is basically taken the development stages and developed specific tools to address the challenges which we face in life.
That's right.
And today we would like to share with you our tool, which is called On Our Journey, which it is a way of life.
That's right. It helps people to calibrate their life. It helps them to reflect where they are and how they can improve to live a better life.
This particular tool is very much focused on our well-being and on our positive mental health. And the idea is that you can play this game by yourself, or you can play this game ideally with family or in groups. Because the more we share together, I think there's a lot which we can learn.
In fact, they are being used also by adolescents and in schools, and this will help them to express their feelings. Sometimes it's so difficult to express what you are feeling, what you are passing through, and with the help of these cards, you can easily express yourself.
So the idea is we have worked together and we have developed a process. And the idea of the process is that you can take any situation, you can travel and play the game, and the cards will guide you in terms of the decisions you need to take. So as an example, as Joanna was saying, the first step would be we've learned how to share our feelings, and then following that we need to make choices. So for example, imagine we are angry and we've learned how to identify that anger, we've learned how to express ourselves, and more important, to regulate.
That's right.
Once we express our anger, we have 2 choices. We can either shout or be violent, or we can calm down and express what we're going through. And the cards will help us make these important choices, because every choice which we make is going to lead to an outcome, and we will learn from the consequences of these decisions. As we travel to this journey, we have learned to reflect, because only by reflection can we learn from past experiences.
What's also beautiful is the values of the person. The cards, as we've been saying, they help you reflect. So there are different values. We're not going to say good or bad, but all values are values. But it's so important to identify them, and if you're doing something good, you really try to do it well, So by your example, people can follow you.
Yeah. The cards help us as we travel our life journey, help us also define our purpose in life. So as when you're young, we identify ourselves that we want to maybe have a particular career, and then we choose our soulmate. And I think as we go by, we continue to recalibrate and, how they say, clarify what we want to do in our life. And these cards, by sharing these experiences, will help us along the way.
Yes. And also, what I like about these cards is it helps you to be positive. Say, I feel grateful. How many times do we feel grateful and we just keep going? But no, we stop and we realize and we tell the other people that we are grateful. And by doing that, as I already mentioned, you'll be giving an example how important it is to be positive in life.
So imagine a situation where, for example, something has happened.
Mm-hmm.
The idea would be that we would place the cards on the table. And then, using a number of sticks, so for example, Joanna can take the yellow sticks, and I can take the green sticks. In this particular situation which we are going through, we connect to our feelings, and you would place the sticks on those parts, on those cards where you have created a connection. And in this very simple process, we begin to understand that taking the same situation, we can look at different perspectives of each other.
That's right. And if there's something which is sort of bothering you and you've been bottling it up, when you have the cards laid on the table and you are with someone else expressing what that feeling is, this will help you release that tension, those emotions, and you lay them down on the table. And the problem is no longer yours, it is shared with the other person you are playing the game with.
So, for example, if I have chosen a card that maybe I'm passing through some challenge, and I chose the card, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
The next step would be to talk about the image.
That's right.
And we can talk about that there's a boy and there's a little mouse where the boy is afraid of. So the next...
And there are two people at the back that seem to be laughing at this little boy as well.
Yeah.
So the boy is afraid, and why is he afraid?
Exactly. So a very simple but beautiful question as you're playing the game, it could be, who does the mouse represent?
That's it.
And maybe the mouse could represent maybe a particular situation which one is passing through. But in a very playful way, we are talking about situations which are challenging, but having the capability, using the cards to share them, it becomes lighter.
That's right.
And then we can turn the card on the other side and maybe discuss some questions. It's good to mention that each card has a QR code, and scanning that QR code will take you to a knowledge base where you will find various activities of how you can learn more about that particular life skill. So once having then shared our feelings, the next step is trying to see maybe those particular behaviors which could have maybe contributed to us getting stuck.
That's right.
And that's where we have the next phase, which is called the moving backwards. So in cases like this, we would move the cards further up, and in a very similar way, one would have a look at what could have maybe contributed to actually creating this particular situation, or maybe enabling us to understand why we are
Just
stuck.
a couple of examples, like holding grudges, bringing up the past, being indifferent to the needs of others. These are all things that will make us move backwards. Being lustful, being greedy, blaming myself or others. I mean, all these seem to be a bit negative.
Yeah. So if, for example, I was afraid and maybe I decided, for example, to do nothing about it, that is possibly a situation that could happen. I could then reflect on my feeling and say, so if I'm afraid and I do nothing, maybe then I would start
To feel more angry.
I will start angry. And if I then start becoming angry, I then become violent. So as you see here, what is happening is we are creating a spiral effect. And here we are looking at the patterns which we have in our brain, and we begin to realize that if we have a situation which we do nothing about, it is going to spiral, and we actually could be causing a problem for ourselves.
But there is a way forward.
That's right.
So when we're positive, there's always a way forward.
So the idea of the game is, having then understood the consequences of certain behaviors, we can move on to the next phase. And these are all values, these are all ideas, behaviors of how maybe we can move forward in our life. And so just to mention a few, we can...
There's be humble, act with love, be generous, understand the other person's thoughts and emotions.
So the idea of the moving
There's
forward...
this is beautiful, forgiveness.
They are very beautiful cards, and the idea of the moving forward phase is really to help us to understand the problem or the situation we are in, and as the name of the phase suggests, finding a way forward. So the idea, where before we're talking individually of what maybe could be causing the situation, in the moving forward, we are now working together. We are working together as either a family or as a group or friends, and we now have a choice. As we saw in the very beginning, the idea of these cards is going to help us to make healthy choices. So we can either decide to move backwards, or we can decide to move forwards.
In fact, there are the reflection cards that's
Exactly.
on the way, on the thought process. You can reflect with these cards.
So the idea of the reflection cards is, given the opportunity to make a choice, it will help us delve deeper and maybe discuss and understand the implications of the various, let's call it, avenues that are presented to us.
That's right.
So the colors themselves of the cards are very significant, and we worked very well with the volunteers and the designers, because we have the moving backwards are red, the reflections are orange, and the moving forward
Are
are
green.
green, thus creating a traffic light. This is the idea that in our life we have to stop, we have to think and make decisions.
Reflect.
The last part of the process is that, having the different options presented to us, every action has a consequence. So we have the outcome cards, and with the outcome cards, we can travel, we can play and explore what are going to be the consequences of whether we decide to continue with the path that we have been taking, or should we decide to move forward.
Like an example, we have things are getting worse if we are stuck with the backward cards, or else reconciliation with myself and others, that will help us to move forward.
So having gone through this process, as an outcome, we realize that where before things were getting worse, things are now getting better. And then what is lovely to reflect is, having gone through this process, how do we feel? And if we chose this path, where we decided to be humble, we forgave maybe, we understood the situation better, maybe we are at peace, and maybe we are happy. So, as a point of reflection, where did we start from?
I feel afraid.
I feel afraid. Just grab the card. So from being afraid, we now at peace. How is that possible? It's possible because
We've passed through all the phases.
and we experience the journey. And it is only by experiencing the journey will we learn. Sometimes we say, if you walk 3 steps forward and 2 steps backwards, how much have we traveled? Some people say 1. We say 5, because you've traveled 5 steps, and that experience is what makes us so, our journey so beautiful, because we learn from our mistakes by reflecting on the journey.
That's
So by playing this game, what is actually happening here, we are breaking past patterns, which maybe we would have learned through our childhood, and we are creating new patterns, which we are going to live then for the rest of our life. And what happens to our brain, the more we practice the game, these patterns which we are playing with become part of our life. And the next time we are faced with a similar situation, this new behavior which we would have learned together, which will surely help us live a happy life.
That's right.
So this is our dream, this is our wish, which we have worked with so many volunteers who have been part of this journey. And our dream is that we would share this dream with others, so together,
They can pass it on.
and we can live a happy life.